time. But he said, remember, we had street meetings, we got baptized with rotten eggs. In those days, there were no houses with bathrooms. They kept what they call a power pot under the bed, and they know it was empty. And people would run out, I'd throw it from the window and throw urine on them. And he said, we kept 2 coats. You kept an old one with eggs, and you went home and scraped them off, and then you put your Sunday best on. And he said, Bert, he said, who cares when there's revival? As I said to you, you don't have to advertise a fire. Colonel Brengle was the biggest orator in America, and I don't know who it was, one of the multimillionaires offered to build him the biggest church in America, give him the biggest salary if he would stay. He said, I'm going to London. Why? Because he said, there's a fire. There's a man called William Booth who was a Methodist. They got rid of him, and he's having revival, and he went and had revival. And he gathered all kinds of people to him. But the secret again, but they had a burning. You went in a prayer meeting, you know, you felt the glory, the majesty of God. And now you don't do that. Like I was with a team not long ago. Well, before the meeting at night, we went in a side room and they'd hot tea and cold tea and drinks and fruit and everything, and trivia talking, and straight off there to the platform. How do you suddenly turn off and suddenly become spiritual? We travel the country, but I walked the length of England, I walked the breadth of England with 5 college fellows. We slept in fields at night, we slept in churches. We didn't get a penny wage in 6 months, and nobody ever said a word. Because at night we'd kneel in the street at 10 and 11 o'clock at night, and people get saved in the street. You don't care a who where you sleep. We slept in sleeping bags for 3 years. Slept on the floor of churches, anywhere they'd take us in. But we had revival. The churches are still standing today. But now I go to a meeting and everybody's silly. Oh, nice to see you. And they want to talk. I say, leave me alone. Well, we went, brother, we had a solid hour of prayer together, 11 o'clock to 12 in the morning. Then we had a bit of a rest in the afternoon and mostly went to prayer. Then we had a prayer meeting 1 hour before the night service, went on the platform, charged with the power of God and full of expectation and faith. And now by night the altars were lined with people. We don't do that today. We've got Miss So-and-so, she's number 1 on the charts. We've got so-and-so. And it's humanism. We're depending on something we have. I mean, you clap, you go to one charismatic meeting, you've been to them all, you stand and sing for 30, 40 minutes. We're trying to work something up when God has to send something down. I can remember, dear brother, when you went to a holiness meeting in England or a Pentecostal, there were more people at the altar before the service than after. I used to fear going when I was 14. I used to go, my daddy used to take me to a Pentecostal meeting, and the whole row at the front before, and they'd be praying with energy and crying to God. One old man particularly said, come Lord and walk in our midst. And I used to think, I hope he doesn't, because I'm scared to death he would. But God used to come in the meeting. And then at the end he didn't have to beg and sing emotional songs. There's room at the cross. I forget it, there's room on the cross. Forget there's room at the cross. Get on the cross. And as Tozer said, a man going down the road with a cross, you knew one thing about him, he wasn't coming back. Our people don't want to die. There's only 2 kinds of people in the world, those who are dead to sin and those who are dead in sin. And we're in one of the 2. In fact, you talked about victory, they laugh at you. Oh, you can't live in victory. Well then, why don't you be a Buddhist to somebody? What do you do with somebody that says, look, I don't just want to get saved, I want to be pure in heart. You can't be pure in heart. Who says so? One of the latest books off the press says you can't. Who cares a hill of being? What does the Word of God say? What did Jesus say to the bad woman that came to him? Go and sin less? He says that to a woman who's been spending in immorality before the cross. What does Paul say? Let him that stole steal less. No, sorry, it's cut off.